this episode we're gonna put this lander with the rover and 3 Kerbal command pod, big command pod, around the moon and get some extra science. On the rover we have a robotic arm, so this is the first time we're gonna use it. And we brought some experiments along. And we used this big booster with the rover in the middle, and this is also the first time where I use this actuator arm underneath the rover, or on top of the rover, to put it in orbit. And as you can tell, the fuel is doing okay. We have plenty of fuel, and I didn't use the big fairing because I wasn't able to unlock it, so it looks kind of funny like this. It's not really a good looking rocket, and there's a little bit too much of fuel on the lander, but that's okay. We can use it. We can get a different biome or whatever, or if we're stranded we can use it to do a rescue or something. So my mission is actually requiring me to go to the southern part of the moon, because there are stones down there that we can grab and get back to Kerbal. And I should have just brought it into a southern entry orbit on the moon, but okay, I'm just doing the regular free return trajectory. That's okay, but it's gonna cost us a little bit more time. Now here I'm forgetting that I still have the fairing attached, so check your staging. And now I'm thinking like I can actually get a Kerbal through the ring here, so just playing around a little bit and trying to push it back to Kerbal to deorbit it a little bit on the free return. I don't know if we managed to do it, but. And also notice how the wheels of the vehicle are folded, of the rover. That's a new feature I didn't have before. So I'm just turning the lander, flipping it around so we can get to orbit of the moon. And we have a nice weather down here. It's sunshine, no clouds, so no, actually there must be a better way to do the rovers. I think in the real Apollo missions they put the rover on the side or somewhere. It's different, but it's also you have to make the best use of the parts that you have. Maybe there's better options, but this worked. Now this is where I realized that I have to get to the southern part of the moon, or the northern poles. So I'm just trying to get my inclination a little bit, increase my inclination, and I'm trying to do this as far out from the moon for efficiency. And now I'm actually realizing that I want to get on the sunny side of the moon, but also I want to have a connection to Kerbal, because I don't have too much relay satellites going on, and still haven't unlocked the big relay dishes. I think that will be a good next step, to get more relay satellites on the planets, because you can basically get all the science from just the moon and the Kerbal, and don't bother about going to all the other planets. Of course it's no fun, but as my fuel's running out in the command module, I just use the lander to even get a different inclination. And I'm burning the complete opposite way. I don't know why I did this, but and yeah, we're just gonna set it down just in between of the biomes so that I can get even more science out of two biomes if I have enough time. And this is where I forgot also to lower the actuator of the arm on top of the rover, because it had two functions basically. First it was to lower the rover on landing, and the second was to flip it around when it's flipped over. So I'm coming down really smoothly, or as Scott Manley would say, like ever so gently. And almost there. And this is where a big problem arises, because there's one thing I forgot to do with this rover. I forgot to put the brakes on. So this is where I realize I have to land really quickly and get a Kerbal out. There's no time for all this nonsense about one small step for Kerbal or whatever. I just have to get out and chase this rover. So this is gonna take me some time, because first attempt I was just try and get on top of it and board it, but as the vehicle's moving and the Kerbal is moving, it won't allow me to get in the seat. I have a few more attempts to save it, but in the end I just go in front of it far out and just hope it bumps into me without crashing my visor. So I'm just chasing it, also realizing that I have limited amount of monopropellant for the thrusters and the jetpack, and I also have to get back. If the rover is somehow stuck, then I have to get back with the jetpack. At least one Kerbal is still in the lander. So I try a few more times just to get in front, but this time I completely miss it, and I see this edge coming up in the on the horizon, and I'm thinking, like, if if the rover is gonna go down there, then it's gonna be even worse. But of course, these Kerbals, their training is really good, and they're pretty fit. They're really fit, also mentally and physically. So, I mean, this is what they're made for. I mean, this is what they do. They save difficult situations and they solve it like this. And now I slowed it down sufficiently, so, and this is also the physical part of the journey. And eventually I will catch up and have this rover on the planet. I have this rover available with a robotic arm, so we can do some science. Now I'll speed up time a little bit so you can watch me putting out all the experiments. There's a few experiments to be had. We have a goo canister. We have the robotic arm. We have temperature and pressure data, crew reports, EVA reports, surface samples, planting flags for completing a mission. So we have plenty of stuff to do now with this breaking ground expansion. I still haven't really figured out how to also I made sure I put 2 solar panels with me, because you need one for the control module and you need one for the goo canister. So the last time I did this, it didn't work because I only had 1 solar panel with me. Of course, you test this stuff out. There's also an animation if you put a scientist behind the goo canister. This is pretty nice. I think I'll also unlock the weather station, but it seems there's no need for it on the moon. And I brought a second goo canister, thinking that will provide me with even more science, but I think the second goo canister gets a penalty when you have another one around. Now we'll get the guys into the rover and we'll head off to this crater where we can use a robotic arm to get more science. Carefully not to flip over. I brought some extra food as well, because I think if we crash somehow we need more food. And it works actually. If you be on the seat, you have more. You have plenty of food. So this works. I don't know about waste actually. How it works with the life support mod. If you run out of place to put your waste in, I don't think the Kerbals will die. And this is where we find a stone which we can use, but unfortunately you also hear this Kerbal shouting on the radio, like why is this not working, because the robotic arm seems to be it doesn't want to unfold because it says there's an object in front of it. So unfortunately we cannot do any additional science on this with this stone, but we can actually get on top of it and just collect it and just bring it back. But the whole idea of this mission was to get also unlock the laboratory and just put the laboratory in orbit next to the command module and get all the science in the laboratory in order to get even more science. So this doesn't seem to work. Just give up. I think I should have put the robotic arm on top of the rover. Somewhere on top. I don't know if I had the space, but or maybe I should have brought even more robotic arms, because in the end I don't think it's in this video, but in the end I crashed the rover, I flip it, and the robotic arm is the first thing that just got destroyed. So this is where we head back and collect all the science, and be careful not to flip over. Now maybe I try to put the center of gravity as low as possible by putting all batteries underneath, but yeah, I guess it's also a good idea to bring some gyros with you, or stability enhancers. So eventually I collect all the data and do some traveling. I also get on top of the arch and we get an extra additional milestone objective. Successful think I can show you a little bit where it is, but and then we run the food back again with the command module. We have about, I think there's food for about 40 days or so. And the next step would be to get the laboratory in the same orbit and perform all the science with it, with the scientist, and get even more science. And it's actually an advantage to doing it around the moon, because you get more science points. If you just do it on Kerbal, in the space lab, there's a penalty. So for example, if you put the space lab on Juna, then you would get even more science. But it will take you time, so you need to have the life support in order to sustain the scientist that has to go inside. And also, it will take a lot of energy, and you need to cool it with radiators, so just make sure you bring enough energy, solar panels. And if you put it in a orbit that, so you also need to bring the batteries, because if you're in the dark side of the moon, then there's no energy and the science gets halted and you run out of electricity. So that's basically it, and see you next time.
Now, it's not a shoe you fear. No, small, I'm under 4 3.